Hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Soul Talk. I'm an Osman, and I can't tell you how much this first day means to me because for this couple of years, I've wanted to create a space to share not just my own personal experiences as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, but also the stories and lessons I've learned along the way. So, Soul Talk. It's about us. It's about our messy journeys. It's not just about the highs. It's also about the lows. It's about our resilience, our growth, and conversations that remind us that, hey, we're not alone. So it's September now, 3 months, actually pretty much at the end of September. And this whole year, it's been calling to me that you've got to start this. So to be honest, this first day, this first step, I'm very, very, very excited. To be honest, a little bit nervous as well. And I've come a long way actually this couple of months and these couple of days, these previous days, I've been telling myself, I've been preaching out there, make the first step, just start. And it's been such a big obstacle for me to even start. And finally, I'm like, there's 3 months till the new year, 3 months to 2025. I don't want to end the year without doing what I said I will be doing. So here we are in September. It is exactly 25th of September. I'm here at Soul Studio, which is also next door to my office, actually within my office, by the way. And September, man, September has been such a heavy month here in Kota Kinabalu. So I'm here in Sabah, and yeah, the weather was just so rough. As I mentioned like earlier on this episode, we're not just going to be talking about the great things. We're going to be talking about the sucky things, the messy journeys, the lows. And why I say September is such a heavy month here, it's not just the weather, the weather has been crazy in KK, with rains and floods and landslides. And even a personal friend, someone who I trained with, a jiu-jitsu teammate, had his house completely buried. Like he was so fortunate to get his family out of the situation as fast as he can. But unfortunately, their house was completely buried. His car was, if I'm not mistaken, was completely buried. And, I live on a high rise, so I'm not very much, I'm not really affected. Like my house wasn't affected by the flood or any landslide, thank God. My mom's house was, water started entering it, and this was kind of like day 2 or day 3 of like that heavy rain. But we've been very fortunate. But I couldn't help to feel the sadness, the worries. Every time it rains, even though our house was safe, but it just worries me to know people who I know, closely, are going through a difficult time. And it shook me. And I know so many people out there are going through a lot of challenges, big and small. And it's in times like these, we talk where resilience is imperative. It's important. It's not just about bouncing back personally. And I've seen, I follow my friend and his family on Facebook. And I think like after the day where their house was completely buried, his daughter competed in a swimming competition where, I'm like seeing resilience in a kid. I'm so inspired. And what I want to say is that resilience. It isn't just about bouncing back personally, but what resilience also is about how we show up for other people and how we support those in need. And sometimes resilience, it looks like strength, but sometimes resilience looks like compassion. And it was great to see, people here in KK, people here in Sabah, they immediately, wanting to help. They're going through, I've seen some people on Facebook where they're going through, their family, their house is affected by the rains, the landslide, but they kept their family safe, but they're still out there helping other people. So resilience is not just about strength. It also sometimes looks like compassion. So I really hope that we are all, reaching out to people who we know, or if you've seen people who are going through a tough time, please do show kindness and compassion. So aside from, having really bad weather, September has been pretty much high and low. But I have been so fortunate enough to, earlier in September, I actually had the honor to have, actually conduct a keynote, actually present a keynote to top performers of a global insurance company. And I thought I wanted to share this because one of the main essence that I shared during my keynote was talking about the messy middle. And what I mean by, if you're not familiar with what the messy middle is, if you think about when you set a goal, for example, like set a goal in 2025, right? Like for me, I had like these lists of things that I said I was going to do, but they weren't really, those things really matter to me, but there were a lot of things, milestones and accomplishments that I achieved this year, what my company and team have achieved this year that I didn't expect early of the year. But there are a lot of those goals, like starting this podcast, starting a YouTube channel, whatever that is, getting, those are the metrics. Like you've got to start the podcast, you've got to start YouTube channel. But now it's just September, and I've been like pondering, like, get out of your head, go start. And it's that messy middle. It's like the messy middle is in between knowing, having that clarity, meaning setting those goals and the outcome that you want. And how many people, out there right now, today, we are entering October in like by next week. And we've got 3 months to 2025. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have time. You have plenty of time. And this is where I thought I wanted to share with you on this first episode, especially as I presented it in my keynote early this month, talking about the messy middle. The messy middle, this is a term that I always use whenever I have a meeting with my partner / husband, whenever we talk about the challenges that we go through. And it's recognizing that we're in that phase that helps me know that, we are in the messy middle. We're in the middle of we're in the thick of the fire or whatever it is. We're in the, in the grind, in the middle of the rut, recognizing where we are in our journey to where we want to be. And we're like, you know what? It's okay. This is the messy middle. This is what, whatever big milestones or achievements that we want to achieve, it's not going to be easy. We are going to go through the messy middle, and that's what it is. So the messy middle, sorry, sounds like a tongue twister, but the messy middle, what I want to kind of share here in the episode, well, I know a lot of us are going through so many things, and you probably already hit whatever, dream and goal that you've set yourself up for. And that's amazing. Congratulations to you. But to those who are in that messy middle, this is a place where most of us want to give up. For me as a fighter, as someone who has competed in MMA professionally, it's that week 3, week 4, like 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks till fight week, where it feels hard, where you feel hungry, where you feel sore, where you feel tired, burned out, literally. And this is the phase where most of us want to give up. It's that place where you're tired, where you've lost the excitement of starting, but you can't really see the finish line. And it's in that phase, it's in that messy middle is where character is built. And here's the truth, we've got 3 months left in 2025. And like I said, it's not too late. There's still plenty of time. And I want to share with you during this first episode that we are at the last stretch. And this last stretch could be the difference between a year you're going to regret. Well, maybe not really regret, but you're going to feel like you probably didn't, you might feel like you need to beat yourself for not doing the things that you said you are going to do. Like for me, hence why I'm doing this podcast. I'm like, I'm not going to end the year without doing the things that I said I'm going to set myself to do. So this last stretch, this last 3 months in 2025, this could be the difference between a year where you are going to feel regret and a year that you're going to be proud of. So just kind of sharing with you about that because it's not too late. And what I shared during my keynote, how do you get out of that messy middle? You've lost that sense of excitement, but that finish line just feels kind of still far away. There's 3 things that I share during my keynote on how to win the messy middle. And the first and foremost is recognizing that you are in it. Like I said, this is a term that I always point out when we're discussing about solutions, pointing out problems, and I constantly, talk about this term, the messy middle. So recognizing where you are at and know that it's going to pass. All right. That is meant to be tough. But it is the difference between wanting to give up and actually pushing through. So recognizing where you're at. The other thing about winning the messy middle is recognizing the progress that you've made. So it's not just about celebrating the big wins. It's about celebrating the small wins. And this is the things that I personally also have to remind myself always, is to recognize the milestones, even though, we've not gone to the finish line yet. We've not hit our $1 million goal yet, but recognize what progress have we been making or we've made. So even if it's as small as, hiring, getting the right hire, or for me in business, or even as small as like for me, releasing this first podcast, celebrating that progress. It's not going to be perfect, but it's 1%. And that one step is going to compound into the outcome that you want to actually achieve. Now, the third way to win the messy middle is to focus on what you can control. So I tell myself this every time, is to let go of the things that you don't have control of, because it's going to tire you out. You can't control the way people respond. In business, in the service industry, you can't control the way that your guest, your customer is going to respond. You can't control, the way that, the economy is going to turn out. You've got to work with the cards that you're being dealt with, and to always have this mindset, like there's always a solution. Think back. What is in your arsenal? The most closest thing is the way that you respond. If you can't control the way people respond, you can't control the economy, you can't control your environment, the closest thing that you can control is the way that you respond. It's the way that you think. It's to always think that every problem has a solution. And I always tell myself this, and I relate it to my husband. I remind him, he reminds me. And it's not just about, talking about resources, but it's also about, when you talk about focus on the things that you have in control, is also understanding the people that you work with. So always focus on the things that you can control. Let go of what is outside of what you can't control, because thinking about everything like that is just going to burn you out. I think the other thing that I said about winning the messy middle, so that's recognizing where you're at, right? Knowing that this is the nature of what this journey of success looks like. And you are in the messy middle, and you're going to get through that. So that, number one. Number two, what I said was celebrating celebrating progress, not perfection. You're not at the finish line yet. It's okay. Think about when you're hiking a mountain or you're running, every step counts. And third is focusing on what you have in control. So I'm going to leave you with this magic 3. If you want a more deep discussion about winning the messy middle, I hope that when you follow this, you listen to this, put in the comment, say, Anne, I'm going through this thing and I'd like to know more about winning the messy middle. How do I endure it? How do I win it? How do I get out of it? How do I build endurance when it comes to winning the messy middle? So if you think that's an interesting topic that you want me to share, when I go deep dive into that, let me know in the comments. All right. Now, this first episode is meant to be a short one. But I'm just kind of getting it out there again, making my start, kind of sharing with you how my September looked like. And, what are the things that I've learned? What are the things that I've shared? And I think like I had another keynote presentation where I had the opportunity. It was very last minute, but it was pretty great. It's a first client, and I was I had the honor to share my story in front of, I think, 200 Shell Malaysia site heroes here in Sabah and Sarawak. So what I shared with them, and why, number one, what I shared with them was my story. And it was great. It was great telling, I really always appreciate people who are willing to listen to my story of how I started as a fighter. And I'm glad that it inspired them. We had so much fun, getting to know the site heroes, site heroes are people who are like gas attendants, cashiers at Shell stations. And it was great to see how they were so energetic and they were really appreciative with having the program. Uh, big, big shout out to Big Guru from Asia Rack Academy who invited me, and as well as Shell Malaysia. Thanks so much for having me, and to the site heroes. Now, why I was there is it was a program to prepare the site heroes. They are the frontliners for this huge change that will be sweeping the nation in Malaysia, where we will all, as Malaysians, in order to get subsidized fuel, we'll need to be paying fuel using our IC. Now, I don't have the total mechanics about that. Let me just see it. I think the program was called Budi or something. Hold on, let me see. Subsidized fuel. I had it on my Facebook. Let me get it. So what I shared with them, it's a huge change, by the way. It's a huge change that we're all going to go through as Malaysians. In fact, not just Malaysians, but residents, citizens staying here in Malaysia. We're all, in order to get that subsidized fuel of 1 ringgit 99 cent per liter, only for petrol, which is RON 95, will need to you'll need to be eligible for the subsidized fuel. That's interesting. To me, I love this initiative because it's very targeted subsidy, and a way to kind of like, I think this whole thing, it's all about equity. I mean, governments has their reasons, but this is something that I believe in actually, But what I see is that there's going to be a huge resistance to change. And that is very normal. It is very normal. So it was great to see how Shell Malaysia prepared their site heroes. These are people who are going to go front, how you say, going to be the front person to educate people, their customers, going to a Shell station to help them transition to this change where the fuel price is going to be different. And of course, people want cheaper petrol. So in order to get fuel subsidy at 1 ringgit 99 cent per liter, they'll need to be paying using IC. So the whole program, this targeted subsidy program, is called Budi 95. And what it is, you need to be eligible for it. And I'll probably have something popped up here, but so you can actually head over to see whether you're eligible. You'll need to head over to www.budimadani.gov.my. Now, I am not whatsoever endorsed by the Madani government or any agency, but I'm just sharing information here. And I think that, being one of the first person, well, I'm not the first person to know, but what I mean is like before this whole news was out, I was invited as a speaker to actually prepare some of the frontliners to inspire them to transition to this change, to help them, inspire them to, how you say this, help them set up their mindset in order to be resilient. All right. Because they will be facing all sorts of customers, people who are probably not happy in the beginning about this change. And, there's going to be a whole new system that we all Malaysians need to adopt and adapt to. So there are people who are, this whole thing is rolled out with the government, but it is those cashiers, pump attendants who will be facing the wrath of people who are going to be unhappy. So it was so interesting to be part of the program. So appreciate Shell Malaysia for inviting me as a speaker. And yeah, I thought I wanted to share that because this is going to be a huge change. So again, this Budi 95, you need to be eligible to receive subsidized fuel, and there is a cap. There's a limit of like I think 300 liters every month, and you can actually check eligibility by going to www.budimadani.gov.my, and what this whole program is, it allows eligible recipients or Malaysians to receive subsidized fuel, which is RON 95 at 1 ringgit 99 cent per liter, and they qualify for 300 liters in a month. So you can find all the information on their site. But what I do know that, again, like I said, we're all going to be the nature of how we would pump fuel is going to be different. I think right now we're paying 2 ringgit 5 cent per liter for RON 95, but this whole program is going to start rolling out, I think, 1st of October or end of September. So it's going to be a huge change. Now, when we talk about change, it's scary, right? Us as humans, we do not love change. We usually resist change, and it's all part of human nature. But if we think about it, as scary as change may be, think about like a goal that you want to reach, like you want to lose weight or I don't know, go up in your career. You will have to go through a lot of changes. Changes can be scary. It could be changing your lifestyle. For example, if you're going to lose weight, that you have to exercise, you need to do strength training, you need to educate yourself, you need to, your nutrition needs to be taken care of. And those are going to be, lifestyle changes. But this is where new opportunities begin. And resilience, again, I love talking about resilience because I think it matters. We need to be resilient with everything that's going on. I just shared with you how, uncertainties can happen, sudden landslides can happen, the weather could change, and it could affect our, our environment. And that's why we need to have that skill. I mean, some people are probably more resilient than others, but it is a skill that you can build. So it's all about having that mindset that, what? Changes happen, but there's opportunities there. New systems, we need to adapt and adopt, but new opportunities are there where you'll be able to enjoy, especially Malaysians, cheaper fuel, right? And so resilience, it's not just about how strong you're alone, right? It's about how we come together as people. So what I do want to share with you here is that I've had that chance to get to know the Shell Site Heroes, and they're very passionate. They're very committed. But us as customers, those who are going to, who are going to go to your local gas station, whether it's whatever brand that you may choose, this whole system is going to be adopted throughout the country. So please have empathy for other people, have compassion. We talked about compassion. It's about how we come together as people, as communities. And hence why I want to have this platform, Soul Talk, this podcast, this space, to have these meaningful conversations. And this is just the beginning. And I can't wait to share more stories that's about to come, more lessons, and hopefully more encouragement with you. So this is the end for episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2, where we'll be having a special guest, where we'll dive deeper into the topic of resilience and the mindset of a champion in episode 2. So until then, keep going, keep showing up, and remember, every middle has a breakthrough waiting at the other end. Thank you so much for joining me on Soul Talk.